Hello and welcome to the show. We're back on Forza 7 today, building another track day beast, starting with a pretty damn good car, the Lotus Exige. Now, our attempts so far at beating the racing Datsun have gone okay. Some cars have got close, like the Ferrari F50, or started to get close. The Lotus is a curious one. It is small, it is light, it is very, very agile. Power-wise, it'll probably be less than the F50, and I fear tyre-wise, we're not going to get massive tyres on this. It might struggle a little bit with things like traction and so on. But on the other hand, of course, it has an absolutely excellent chassis. Its corner speed should be very good. In theory, at least, although their front tyres are not massive. 235s for that, and 285s at the back. Yeah, not the biggest tyres. Not the biggest tyres that you could have, but there we go. We will stick, of course, on the Forza Aero. We're going to want as much downforce as we can possibly get. Apparently this gets an alternate bonnet. We can have those all-important weight-reducing headlights. I forgot the Exige had rally lights. You know what? Sure. Let's put on some rally lights on our Exige. Now, engine-wise, we're going to come to in a little bit because I'm not 100% sure what we're going to be able to get away with in this car. You see, the weight limit for this series is £2,400, which the Exige is going to get down to. The question is, okay, we definitely can't go to that far. That's way too light. Now, what we can probably do, I think even if we do that and then get the heavier, if we do that, get the heavier engine and the turbos, I still don't think it's going to make 2,400. So, I think we're going to have to go for sport weight reduction in the car. Now, we are going to want things like clutch and gearbox. So now these will save us a little bit of weight, but it's not putting it under the weight limit. And then the engines are going to do some things to the car, basically. Right, our options are 3-litre V8 racing. It is considerably lighter than the current engine, or we go for the 4.5-litre V8. That's the engine from a Ferrari. We'll get about 900 horsepower. The 3-litre V8 racing engine does not get 900 horsepower. It's not a bad engine, mind. I think we will go with the 4.5. I think we will go for the 4.5. We will probably want to stick the turbos on that as well. Okay, so the weight has now gone up to £2,500. However, we will chuck out some more of it when we start with things like exhaust, things like intake and so on. We will start getting the weight back out of it. I don't know if I could have made up the £200 needed with that V8 racing engine. Exhaust will get us down to 2,462, which is nice. Now, PI might not be massive on this car, and I'm okay with that. The PI might not be huge because, of course, PI takes into account a lot of different things for the vehicles, and things like top speed and so on are important in the sort of challenge that we are doing. So, yeah, if we do end up with a little bit wonky PI, I say wonky, a little bit lesser PI, do we want 54 horsepower for about £80? Do we reckon 54 horsepower is going to be worth it? I mean, we need a lot of acceleration because the Datsun had 800-ish horsepower, 700, had a lot of power. So we do still need to be able to out-accelerate the Datsun. I think that's probably going to be worth it overall. I hope. We can then save a little bit of weight, of course, with the flywheel. It's a lot of power. It's a lot of power in a very small Lotus. If the chassis can deal with it all, then we might be on to a winner here. If the chassis can deal with that much power going through it, we might go very quickly. It might also go very sideways. It's going to be one of the two, I feel. So, it is off to the Lime Rock alternate circuit with our Exige, where it is going to have 6 laps to try and go as fast as possible and beat the Datsun's 55.3 second lap time. That is proving a tough target. That is certainly proving a tough target. The fastest road cars that we have had, the Ferrari F50, a 56.0, the 911 GT2, a 56.1, the Viper, a 56.5. So, I mean, if we can get into the 56s, we're doing pretty well. If we can get a sub-56, well, none of our cars have done that yet. So, that would be a very good result for the Lotus. You know, still aiming to beat that Datsun. I have a sneaky suspicion that this probably won't have the control, perhaps, to quite compete with the Datsun. I don't think it's going to quite have the composure that we've seen from some of the other cars. I'm expecting this is a lot of power going through the Lotus, and I'm expecting it to be a little bit difficult to drive in places. So far, though, it's actually not... If I'm a real moron with the throttle, yeah, I can absolutely get the car spinning the wheels. But, I mean, I'm getting to full throttle in second and third gear, and the Lotus is finding traction, which is very good news indeed. Ooh, although that's a very wide... That's very wide in the braking zone. They asked a little bit too much of it there. The small front tyres are not going to help with turning, or they're not going to help with braking particularly either, with the way that... Forza works. Tyre width's very, very important in this game. Very important indeed. I mean, if this had the same size tyres as the Ferrari, for example, I would say that this would quite easily beat the Datsun, sorry. But it doesn't. It's got piddly front tyres, which is not going to help the turn in, or is not going to help the braking particularly. It's not bad under brakes into the first corner here, though. We are braking at the 5 board. And that's considering this has got a lot of power, a lot of acceleration down towards turn 1. So that's not too shabby. Ooh, we're throwing it off the circuit. Just a smidge off the circuit. We dropped the rear wheel over the dirt. Didn't lose too much time. We'd have lost some time, but yeah, not quite where you want to be putting your car. Oh, now I'm braking a tad early, although much better line up that hill we go. I've got to be really careful with that curb. It bounces the cars around so much on the outside there if you're running a smidge wide. Very easy. We've got 900 odd, 1,000 odd horsepower cars going up there. They start bouncing. They are definitely going to be spinning their wheels. Oh, no. No, that's not what we wanted to do at all. The Lotus is visiting the barriers at the moment. Come on, get back on the track. Well, that's going to screw up lap 3 as well. We're learning. I'm learning what the Lotus can and can't do, and, well... rear wheel on the grass in a braking zone is going to end in disaster. To be fair, that is a very common crash that you see at Lime Rock. The amount of times that we have seen it do versus communities or various other races here is guaranteed to be somebody making that mistake. You run the car, because of course you want to use as much width as you can of the circuit, you know, get the most speed, if you like, through the corner. However, when you overstep that mark ever so slightly there, bit sudden grass at a very fast corner, you go skating off towards the tyre bundles. Right, that's a little bit better on its kind of run up the hill. Turning... Oh god, we've got a little bit upset across the curb. Turning this is a little bit weird. Sometimes it kind of feels great. Low speed stuff, it feels great. The higher speed corners, especially like this final turn, for example, it seems to really struggle maintaining the sort of speed that we saw from the Ferrari. So, yeah. Lap time wise, it's a 57.5, and that was, well, bearing in mind we had a slow run onto that lap. We weren't crossing the start-finish line to start that lap very well because we fell off the circuit. That's not bad. Not bad at all. It's not, don't think, going to be a Datsun beating performance in the Lotus, but I do think it's got a 56 in it if we can string everything together through here. Get that powered down up towards the first of the chicanes. Try and straight line this one here as best we can. That's it. Stayed well away from the curbs. Well off of the curbs. Again, earlier on the brakes I think will help the car be neat and tidy. This time not getting upset either across that big inside curb. No, I'm going to do it again. I think we're going to go very, very sideways around that final corner. I'm pushing my pushing my luck quite a lot on that final turn. What is that there? I've lost a lot of time with that big slide around the final turn. Well, we've only got a couple of laps now to really get something out of the car. We've been quite explory. Quite explory? I think that's probably the correct term in all of that. I've been overstepping the limits a little bit more in this Exige than I would perhaps have liked. Maybe slightly overdriving the car in places. Oh, that shift from second to third can unsettle the vehicle, to say the least. Up the chicanes we go once more. That's better. Up there, felt good. A good first sector from the car. Now let's try and not balls up this final one. This has caused many issues for many cars, actually. Oddly, yeah, that second chicane there has probably been where we've had some of the most issues with cars getting upset, especially across the curbs or the grass if you happen to slightly brush that. That's at least a neater lap that time around, and it is into the 56s. That's a monster of a lap, a 56.5. Found a lot of time in all of that. That's very close. I think I might have actually beaten the Viper with that lap time. However, can we get any more out of it? That felt like a good lap. That last lap did feel like a very, very good lap with the car. So we will have to do something magical here if we're going to get any more speed out of the Exige. Keep it neat and tidy on the run up the hill. It will bounce across those curves, no problem. We're a little bit down. Can we get a amazing final sector? I don't know if we can get an amazing enough final sector to beat that. It's pretty good. Pretty good, although this final corner is where we're struggling. It just can't take the speed through there that I want it to be taking. Yeah, it's really struggling with these higher speed corners. It runs to the line, it's not going to be quicker. It is another 56, won't beat the 56.5. An interesting one. That's a good lap time, and I was expecting the Exige to struggle considerably more. This is 900 horsepower. This is a 900 horsepower Lotus. While it's got okay sized rear tyres, again, nothing compared to the Ferraris and Porsches and so on. So it dealt with its power amazingly well. It really did. There was very little. I mean, there was a bit of wheel spin across the bumps, but everything will spin its wheels when you're bouncing the cars around through the curbs. It dealt with that power amazingly well. And at low speed, the car felt very, very good. When we got to the higher speed corners, though, the Exige, certainly that final turn, it was not comfortable. It was not comfortable whatsoever at that final turn. That's where it kind of struggled a bit more. Not quite what I was expecting from the Exige. If it was going to have issues, I was expecting it to have issues trying to deal with all of the power, but no, it's actually the high-speed corners where things go a little bit awry. That lap time will indeed be enough to see it up into 4th place. It will go faster than the SRT Viper, not quite as quick as the 911, the GT2, or the Ferrari, but yeah, 56.5 is a good lap time for a road car around here. That is a very good lap time indeed, but it's not fast enough. It is not fast enough. The Exige cannot beat the Datsun. Again, it was a slightly different method going over the small, light, track-orientated car to begin with, rather than the big supercars with the huge tyres, and it did very well. You know, beating the Viper is very good going. We know how quick the SRT Vipers are. But not quite fast enough. Not quite fast enough. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.